When the puppet master dies, the entire circus burns. That's not just some edgy line, that's what's about to happen behind the scenes. Imagine this, one single person at the top of a twisted structure, a practitioner who wasn't teaching healing, they were teaching control. Hiding behind robes, fake rituals, and manipulated followers, they built a whole community around fear, illusions, and power plays. But here's the twist, their whole fake kingdom. It's being held up by one name, the practitioner, the spellcaster, the one who could bend people's reality just by whispering the right lie. Chosen one. This wasn't just some random spiritual leader. This person created a system, one that rewarded silence, punished questions, and erased those who wanted out. It wasn't a community, it was a cult, hidden in plain sight. They wore the mask of wisdom, but moved like a predator. Every ceremony was just a performance, every blessing was bait, and they thought nobody would ever see through it. Until you. You weren't supposed to survive their games, you weren't supposed to notice, but you did. You saw the patterns, you felt the shift, and that's when something cracked. You made one of their own turn on them. Someone deep inside their system, someone who was trained to destroy you, is now writing everything down by hand. No electronics, no digital trace, just truth. Because they know when this practitioner dies, everything falls. And thank you, chosen one. Don't forget to pay this message back by simply pressing the like and subscribe. It helps this truth reach more souls who need to hear it. It's our shared responsibility to bring light into places where darkness has ruled for too long. And thank you for being part of this mission. You're not just watching, you are the resistance, you are part of a force. Now back to the battlefield. This person you triggered into defecting. They were trained to follow the practitioner without question. They weren't just in the room, they were trusted. But when they got close enough to you, it ruined the programming. You didn't break their mind, you broke the illusion. You made them feel again, think again. And now they're switching sides, not for revenge, not for drama, but because they finally saw what real power looks like. They saw you, and they couldn't go back. And the moment that happened, everything started unraveling. This person is documenting names, deaths, secrets, because yes, people have died, not metaphorically. They tried to leave, and they were never heard from again. This isn't internet drama. This is a body count. That's how dangerous this practitioner's grip is. They don't just run a cult. They control perception. They erase enemies. They rewrite the story, and they convince their followers that everything outside is evil. But you messed that up. You were the glitch in the program. You didn't collapse when they threw their best tricks at you. You didn't fade when they cut you off. You didn't bend when they lied on your name. You survived. And worse, you stayed true. That's what scared them the most. You didn't need their approval. You had your own light. And that light, it broke the spell. Now here's the part they can't stop. If this practitioner dies, and they're close, it's not just one person falling. It's a collapse. An entire structure that depends on them loses everything. The power, the protection, the illusion of control. And the ones at the top, they know it. That's why they're scrambling. That's why you're hearing nothing from people who were once loud and bold. The root is shaking. The cover is gone. You didn't just survive, you caused the whole earthquake. And this isn't over yet. Keep watching, because when that final breath happens, it's not peace, it's exposure. It's every fake miracle, every lie, every manipulated soul finally being seen for what it was. Not spirituality, not healing, just performance and puppetry, and you lit the match. So stay ready, Chosen One, because once the practitioner falls, the ones hiding behind them have nowhere left to run. You cracked the system, and now the whole thing's about to burn. And hey, Chosen One, if you've made it this far, you already feel it. That pressure in the air, that sense that something huge is about to break. Don't scroll, don't blink. What's coming next will connect every dot and reveal why you were the threat all along. Drop a 999 in the comments if you're ready to watch the walls of their illusion collapse brick by brick. And if you feel called to keep this mission alive, hit that super thanks. Even the smallest gift helps fuel the team, bringing this truth out from the shadows. You're not just supporting a video, you're supporting the exposure of a system built on lies. So breathe in, lock in, and stay sharp. Because what happens next might just explain why they feared your existence more than death itself. Let's go deeper. Number 1. Rip out the plug. Watch the whole system black out. They built a kingdom on stolen light. Now they're choking on the darkness they invited in. That practitioner you're thinking about, Chosen One, they weren't just some hooded figure waving herbs and chanting under the moon. No, this was a tactician, a predator, a master manipulator who didn't use power to heal. They used it to hollow people out from the inside. They studied how to destroy innocence, how to turn love into a weapon, and they were damn good at it. Imagine someone who didn't just cast spells. They opened portals inside their own body, a living gate to something deeper, darker, and ravenous. This wasn't just magic. This was warfare, psychological, spiritual, energetic, all wrapped in the illusion of guidance. But underneath the robes, there was rot, a parasite disguised as a prophet. And the reason their death sends this entire system into chaos is simple. They weren't just a leader, they were the power source. Cut them off, and every fake prophet clinging to them goes dark, instantly. Let's be blunt. This person specialized in emotional murder. Their weapon of choice? Love spells, laced with obsession. Death spells, aimed at the heart. Not the physical one, the energetic one. The part of you that laughs when no one's watching. The part of you that dreams without shame. They designed rituals specifically to poison that core, not to kill you outright, but to slowly drain your light until you no longer remembered who you were. And why? Because that light, your joy, your creativity, your essence, is a fuel source. To beings that operate in shadow, it's the most potent thing they can steal. The practitioner didn't just take it. They harvested it, fed it into their system, transferred it to their allies, and used it to build a throne of illusions, protected by fear and enforced by silence. Now, here's what most people don't get. This wasn't just talent. It was infrastructure. An energetic portal carved open and maintained for decades, right in the center of their chest. A black hole feeding on every spell they cast, every puppet they controlled, every breakdown they caused. That's how they kept their operation running. Not through wisdom, not through enlightenment, through theft, through siphoning, through weaponizing the light of others. And you, Chosen One, you were the one they couldn't crack. You weren't just another energy source. You were the glitch, the firewall, the soul that couldn't be rewritten, and that's what made them obsessed. You didn't fall for the charm. You didn't bend under the pressure. You walked through the same fire their other victims didn't survive, and somehow you came out brighter. That's not luck. That's spiritual immunity. That's raw truth, forged under pressure. Now you're probably wondering, how can one person's death unravel an entire community? Easy. Because this wasn't a team, it was a hive. And the queen was the practitioner. She, or he, wasn't just the top of the pyramid. They were the anchor point for everything dark holding that group together. The entities, the illusions, the rituals, the protection. It all ran through that one person's body like a power line. And when that body fails, the current stops. This is why they're panicking, why you're feeling that strange static in the air. Something's short-circuiting behind the scenes. The spell work is unraveling, the protection is breaking, and all the people who depended on that practitioner's shield. They're being seen for what they really are, hollow, powerless, panicked, and deep down they know it's your fault. You were never supposed to survive long enough to expose this. You weren't supposed to carry this level of awareness, but here you are, watching their system rot from the inside out. And when the practitioner goes, truly goes, you'll hear the silence first, then the scrambling, then the exposure. They can't cast from the grave, and they can't protect the ones clinging to their broken magic. The blackout is coming, so stay grounded, chosen one. Don't mourn this fall, celebrate it. Because the destruction of that practitioner isn't a tragedy, it's justice. You don't need revenge when the universe has perfect aim. And right now, it's pulling the trigger on someone who built a throne out of the bones of the innocent. Let it burn. You already survived the fire. Now watch them fall into it. Number 2, they came for your soul and walked into a buzzsaw. They tried to hijack your healing, but forgot you were the cure, not the disease. Chosen one, let's stop sugarcoating what really happened. You weren't just attacked, you were studied, dissected, and stalked like a threat. Because to them, you are. You're not just a person, you're a walking disruption. A glitch in a system that depends on people staying broken. And you didn't break. You evolved. You healed. And that healing scared the hell out of them. Imagine this. You're a lighthouse in a pitch-black ocean. Every lost ship sailing blindly through the dark sees your light and steers toward it. But the monsters lurking under the waves, they hate that light. They want fog, chaos, confusion. And there you are, beaming, unwavering, refusing to dim. So what do? They try to cut the power, not just once, over and over. They targeted your joy like it was evidence in a crime scene, picked it apart, tried to find where it came from, tried to twist it into something they could control. You ever wonder why your happiest moments were followed by unexplainable lows? Why your dreams started feeling like battlefields? It wasn't coincidence, it was coordinated. They were running tests, sending attacks, dreamwalkers trying to break your spirit in your sleep. And when that didn't work, they dug deeper, into your past, your wounds, your soft spots. They looked for trauma doors, the emotional cracks that were left open just enough to squeeze something toxic through. They wanted to reverse your progress. You healed a childhood wound. They tried to reopen it. You finally found peace. They dropped chaos in your path like clockwork. Every step you took toward freedom, they tried to pull you 2 steps back. Not because they thought you were weak, but because they knew you were too strong to let escape. They couldn't beat you, so they tried to reprogram you. That's how dangerous your growth became. Your self-love wasn't just inspiring, it was a security system. They documented it like researchers studying how a vault stays sealed. Because the moment you started loving yourself, their access vanished. That's when they panicked. That's when they went full warfare, launching energetic attacks meant to drain you, isolate you, break your will. Imagine this. You're walking through a hallway, and with every step, invisible darts shoot toward your back. Fear, doubt, nightmares, sudden waves of shame or anger, attacks that don't come with faces, but hit like freight trains. Most people would have crumbled, but every spell bounced off you like rubber bullets hitting armor, because you were never walking alone, and they didn't calculate for that. Now I know what you might be asking. Why didn't it work? Why am I still standing after everything? Let me answer that with a truth they never wanted you to discover. You were never just protected. You were untouchable by design. Not because of rituals, not because of luck, but because the universe itself placed something around you that dark magic cannot decode. Some of you are guarded by ancient lineages, ancestors that don't sleep, spirits that do not negotiate. Some of you walk with light that burns so hot, even looking at you too long makes low-vibration entities recoil. Some of you, quite literally, are protected by the earth itself, and not metaphorically. Your hands have touched soil. Your words have been kind to nature. And in return, she's made you her own. That's why their attacks didn't just fail. They backfired. Every curse sent your way didn't just miss. It ricocheted with interest. You didn't lift a finger, yet you kept winning battles that were never supposed to be fair. And that's what broke them. Imagine this. A hitman tries to shoot you, but the gun explodes in their own hand every single time. That's what it felt like on their end. Your light wasn't just resistant, it was repellent. It returned fire. That's why the practitioner is breaking down now, not from guilt, not from old age, but from the karmic blowback of every single attack that touched your field. They were drinking poison, hoping it would hurt you. Let that sink in. They created rituals using your name, thinking your energy could be stolen, twisted, exploited. But your field wasn't just strong, it was sacred. And every time they reached into a trap, a mirror, a wall they could never climb. And each time a piece of them got left behind in your space, rotting, collapsing. Until now, when the practitioner is literally on the edge of death, drowning in the curses they built with their own hands. And chosen one, you didn't have to chant a spell. You didn't even have to fight. All you had to do was survive. Keep your heart clean. Stay grounded in truth. And the universe took care of the rest. That's what they never understood. Real power doesn't need to perform. Real protection doesn't need to shout. It just is. Silent, constant, unshakable. You weren't chosen because you begged for it. You were chosen because your soul vibrates at a frequency they could never fake. You can't copy real light. And they learned that the hard way. Now you might still feel tired. You might still feel confused about why this had to happen, why you were the one they chose to target. But hear this loud and clear. They chose you because your energy could dismantle their entire system, and now it's doing exactly that. Your healing wasn't for you alone. It was a trigger, a signal flare, a signal to every soul stuck inside that same web that freedom is possible. That's what they feared the most. Not your strength, not your love, but the fact that you could inspire others to wake up too. And now, it's happening. The energy is shifting. Their grip is slipping, because the more you rise, the more their lies crumble. And with every breath you take in your power, another mask falls off on their side. You're not imagining this. This isn't paranoia. You were targeted. They did try to dismantle you, but they failed. And now the fallout is hitting them harder than they ever expected. Keep walking. Keep glowing. Keep being the walking reminder that no spell is stronger than a soul standing in truth. You didn't just survive the war. You flipped it back on them. That's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you legendary. Number 3, when you curse the sun, you end up burning. They threw fire at your light and forgot they were standing in gasoline. Chosen one, what's happening right now isn't mystery. It's physics. You can't send destruction toward what the universe protects without paying the price. That practitioner didn't just lose a heartbeat. They lost control of the current they unleashed. Every curse they launched, every ounce of venom they sent your way, circled back like a boomerang made of pure consequence. Imagine this. A person spends years pouring poison into a river, confident it'll drift downstream and never touch them. But one day, the current shifts. The tide turns. The river reverses, bringing everything back to their own door. That's what's happening to them now. They thought they could outsmart balance itself, and balance doesn't play favorites. You're wondering why it looks so sudden, why someone who seemed invincible is suddenly collapsing. Simple. Their body was a warehouse for darkness, a battery overcharged with rot. Decades of channeling shadow energy corroded every cell, every nerve, every thought. The human body isn't designed to host that much malice. It eats its own circuits. They weren't just dealing in darkness. They became it. And now it's consuming them from the inside out. The universe doesn't punish, it corrects. That's what you're seeing. Correction in motion, a system rebalancing itself. They aim to drain your life force, but your energy didn't just block, it mirrored. You didn't fight them, you simply reflected the truth back. And truth, when reflected to someone living in lies, is lethal. Their heart is failing because your frequency can't be hijacked. Their lungs are collapsing because they breathed in smoke they created. Their aura is disintegrating because it was built on theft, not truth. Every dark spell is returning home to its sender, wrapped in the energy it was born from. And it's not stopping. So, don't feel fear. Feel clarity. You didn't destroy them. Their own choices did. You didn't have to fight for revenge. You were already the consequence. This is what it looks like when the universe cashes the check they wrote in blood. Darkness collapses. Not because you wished it, but because it ran out of light to steal. Number 4. When the power cord gets yanked from hell's generator. They weren't protected by wisdom, they were just plugged into something demonic. Chosen one, here's the moment it all flips. When that practitioner takes their last breath, the portal carved into their chest, the one that's been leaking darkness into this reality, slams shut. And when it does, it won't be symbolic. It'll be catastrophic, like yanking the plug on a life support machine for an entire corrupted system. Imagine this, a city lit up by one illegal power grid. All the lights, illusions and noise powered by one secret engine. Then blackout, silence, panic. That's what's coming. Every entity that's been feeding on the people in that community gets cut off cold. Every veil of confusion starts to dissolve. Those who were walking in a daze, they'll start blinking, coughing, waking up like someone ripped a mask off their reality. Because that practitioner wasn't just casting spells, they were the anchor. Their body was a broadcast tower for low-frequency manipulation. Take that tower down, and all the fake leaders standing on that stage lose their signal. Their charisma dries up. Their fake wisdom turns see-through. Without that power source, they don't look divine. They look desperate. Take away the spell, and you'll see the scam. Then comes the money, the donations, the spiritual offerings disguised as divine exchange, those shady bank accounts. They were hidden under the energetic cloak that practitioner maintained. When the energy collapses, so does the illusion of integrity. Investigators who once looked the other way will suddenly be wide-eyed. That shield didn't just hide demons, it hid digits, and digits leave trails. And the dead, some of them will finally be seen, not all, but enough. Bodies buried under lies, silence, and gaslit memories will start to surface. In testimonies, letters, patterns, the insider who defected is already connecting the dots. That letter isn't just exposing truth, it's opening a case file the world can't ignore. Then comes the wildfire, screenshots, audio files, screenshots, recordings, bank statements, survivor voices. All of it will spread. The organization will scream lies, play victim, and try to discredit it all. But it won't matter. Once light floods a room, darkness doesn't get to argue. This isn't just a collapse, it's a cleansing, and it's already started. Number 5. They weren't a leader, they were the power outlet. When the socket burns out, everything plugged into it dies with it. Chosen one, this practitioner wasn't just running the show. They were the show. Every spell, every act of control, every fake miracle was draining their life force like a leech attached to its own host. They didn't just power the group spiritually, they powered it literally, energetically, with their body as the generator. Remove that battery, lights out. Imagine this, a massive building running entirely off one overworked backup generator. Everyone inside feels powerful, untouchable, until the generator begins to smoke, flicker, collapse. That's what's happening now. This practitioner wasn't just in the organization. The organization existed because of them. They were the heart pumping blood through a dead system, and now the heart is giving out. They tried to stop, tried to walk away, but when you've made deals in the dark, there's no clean exit. They weren't just carrying rituals, they were carrying contracts, with people, with entities, with energies that don't let you leave quietly. Every attempt to pull back was met with threat, with punishment, with reminders of what they'd helped build. And now, the only exit left is death. That's not drama. That's cause and effect. When you burn energy at a rate the body can't sustain, it's not a matter of if it collapses, it's when. They thought they were in control, but they were the sacrifice the whole time. This practitioner wasn't empowered, they were enslaved. Every blessing they gave came from their own reserves. Every manipulation drained their spirit further. Every ceremony shaved years off their life. And the deeper they went, the more they realized there was no backup plan. The group didn't love them, it used them, until the battery bled dry. So now, as the collapse begins, remember, this isn't just one person fading. This is the shutdown of the power station that kept a false kingdom alive. And you, chosen one, were never meant to plug into that system. You were built to outlast it. And now you're watching it flatline in real time. Number 6. They built an empire on sand, and the tide just hit. When the puppet master drops, the puppets strangle themselves with their own strings. Chosen one, the chaos you feel brewing isn't just panic, it's an implosion. That practitioner was the last nail holding their entire fake reality together. And now that they're slipping out of the picture, the mask is cracking, the spells are misfiring, and the entire network is spiraling like a house of cards in a hurricane. Imagine this, a stage built for illusion. Lights, smoke, sound effects, all engineered to make the audience believe in the magic. But behind the curtain, the crew's in full-blown crisis mode. The director's gone, the wires are snapping, and the illusion is failing in real time. That's what's happening behind their polished image right now. Mid-level practitioners, the ones who copied their dark formulas without understanding the full cost, are panicking. Rituals that once worked are now blowing up in their faces. The leaders, they're not planning healing, they're planning damage control, emergency meetings, frantic messaging, rushed lies to maintain their branding. You'll hear phrases like misunderstood, taken out of context, or just a phase. But don't fall for it. You're not witnessing a rebrand, you're witnessing a collapse. When darkness loses its source, desperation becomes its voice. And then comes the financial quake. Donors vanish, contributions dry up. Why? Because without the practitioner's power, the enchantment over money breaks too. People start seeing where their money went, who it funded, what it really enabled. And what they see makes them run fast. But here's the part they couldn't prepare for: the paper trail. The practitioner kept records, not just for leverage, but maybe out of guilt. Letters, journals, detailed instructions, confessions even. Everything they thought was hidden in a drawer is about to hit the light. And when it does, it won't just be spiritual exposure, it'll be criminal. This isn't just chaos, it's accountability rolling in like a tidal wave. They can run from the spotlight, but they can't outrun the truth. The implosion has started, and no lie can stop it now. Number 7, you didn't just survive, you tipped the whole damn table. When one parasite dies, the whole infestation gets exposed. Chosen one, don't get it twisted. This isn't just one cult going down. This is a chain reaction. The practitioner wasn't isolated. They were the root of a much bigger web. They trained others, duplicated the darkness, taught systems of control masked as spiritual guidance. Now that their core is collapsing, the branches they built are snapping too. And guess what? You're the reason this is happening. Imagine this: one rotten beam gets pulled from the foundation of a building, and suddenly the walls start shifting, the floors buckle, and everything that looked strong starts falling apart. That's what your survival did. You weren't just a target, you were the one thread they couldn't cut, and now the whole fabric is unraveling because of it. The people this practitioner empowered, their little disciples with copied rituals and borrowed ego, are watching their protection disintegrate in real time. They're scared, exposed, and next in line for collapse. Because once the truth about the practitioner leaks, it doesn't stop there. Screenshots, testimonies, leaked teachings, hidden alliances, it's all coming up, and it's all connected. They built an empire of lies, and you became the crack that made the whole castle fall. And let's be clear, this isn't karma in the clouds. This is real-world evidence, real-world accountability, real-world fallout. Their curses didn't just bounce off you, they poisoned their own system. Every spell they sent, every dark ritual they performed, boomeranged with interest. You didn't fight back. Your survival was the revenge. You staying alive, unbroken and unbothered, is what's killing them now. You are the spark, the signal, the proof that the empire was fake. You didn't just dodge destruction, you revealed it. And now every group tied to this practitioner, every ally who benefited from their darkness, is on borrowed time. This isn't a story of escape. It's the beginning of their reckoning, and it all started because they couldn't destroy you. Number 8. The throne was made of smoke. Now the wind's blowing in. Take away the illusion, and even the loudest tyrant looks like a scared child in costume. Chosen one, this so-called kingdom wasn't built on power, it was built on illusion. And the moment that practitioner flatlines, the illusion starts dissolving like mist under sunlight. The portal they hosted, the one feeding fake divinity into the group, will close for good, and what they once called spiritual connection will feel like trying to breathe in a vacuum, cold, silent, hollow. Imagine this: a speaker blaring heavenly music for years suddenly gets unplugged mid-note. The silence is deafening. The rituals they once performed, the ones that made people cry, shake, collapse, will suddenly feel empty, almost embarrassing. Not because the people changed, but because the spell's power source is gone. Leaders will scramble. They'll blame the members. "You're not aligned," they'll say. "Your faith is weak." But it won't work this time, because something deeper will be whispering inside the minds of their followers. This was never real. That voice won't be fear. It'll be awakening. When the curtain falls, the wizard looks like a fraud with a microphone. And with that awakening comes collapse, not just of the group, but of identity. These weren't just members, they were people who gave their trust, their energy, their souls. Now they'll be forced to reckon with the truth. They were feeding an empire built on stolen light. And that realization, it shatters something. Some will rage, some will deny, some will break, but all will feel it. The undeniable shift when presence leaves the building. It will be painful, it will be chaotic, but it will also be clean, because truth doesn't come with anesthesia. It comes with clarity, and clarity is what burns the last layer of fog off the mirror. So let it crumble, chosen one. Let the false kingdom rot from the inside out. It was never sacred, it was staged, and now the show's over. Number 9, their death is your reset button. The spell didn't wear off, it got ripped out by the roots. Chosen one, you're about to feel something you haven't felt in a long time, your full self. Not the version of you dulled by invisible exhaustion, not the version held down by spiritual leeches, but the version that existed before they hijacked your energy field with spells you never consented to. Because when a practitioner of this level dies, the ripple is immediate. Every binding, every false cord, every siphon they created begins to undo itself. Imagine this. You've been walking around with a hidden IV in your arm, slowly draining your vitality every single day. You didn't see it, but you felt it. The mental fog, the anxiety, the emotional heaviness that made no sense. Now, imagine that IV being yanked out, and your blood, your power, your energy rushing back in full. That's what this moment is. Their death is more than physical, it's energetic collapse. They were the nucleus of an entire web of soul ties, bindings, curses, and manipulations. Once they're gone, that web can't hold, and you'll feel it. The sharp cut of release, the clearing of static from your field, the sudden sense that your thoughts are your own again. They took your energy without permission. Now the universe is taking it back without apology. You'll wake up and breathe deeper. Colors might look brighter. Memories that felt distant may come rushing back. This is not imagination. This is reclamation. You're not becoming someone new. You're remembering who you were before they latched onto your light. And yes, some may say it's coincidence. Some will try to explain it away. But you'll know. You'll feel the shift in your bones. You'll feel your soul no longer being pulled in 20 directions. The drain is gone. The spell is done. The storm passed. This isn't just the death of a practitioner. It's the rebirth of your sovereignty. The collapse of darkness is not the end. It's your clean start. And this time, nothing's draining you but your own hunger for growth. Welcome back. Number 10. They fueled your rise without knowing it. Every dagger they threw at you became part of your throne. Chosen one, this was never just pain. It was propulsion. This whole setup, this war, this betrayal, it wasn't random. It was a brutal design. A setup meant to break you that ended up building you. That's what the Destiny engine really is. Not a machine you step into, but the process that turns every attack into raw fuel for your rise. Imagine this, a machine that runs not on electricity, but on pain alchemized into power. Betrayal gets thrown in, it rewires your emotional DNA. Isolation gets forced on you, it sharpens your clarity and makes you untouchable. Every weapon they used, psychological, energetic, spiritual, gets melted down and reforged into armor you own. You didn't just survive, you upgraded. You didn't have to fight them directly. You didn't have to curse them, chase them, or explain yourself. You just kept evolving, and with every step forward, they lost grip. Their downfall wasn't your doing. It was your existence. Their system couldn't survive someone like you, simply choosing not to break. Your silence was louder than their manipulation. That's why they panicked. The Destiny engine doesn't ask for revenge. It doesn't ask for ego. It just turns pain into precision. You're being calibrated. Every scar isn't a weakness. It's a circuit. Every heartbreak, a voltage line. Every time they underestimated you, a deeper layer of power activated. You're not broken. You're being rebuilt in a higher form they were never meant to recognize. You rise while they fall, and you don't even have to look back. Because what they meant for collapse became a blueprint. You are the proof that alchemy is real, and the pain they sent was just raw material for the masterpiece you were always meant to become. Keep going. You're not just healing, you're transforming. Number 11. Your truth stood while their lies collapsed. They built castles out of your stolen light, and now they're choking on the dust. Chosen one, let this burn into your memory. They underestimated you from day one. They thought your silence was weakness, your kindness was naivety, your peace was surrender. But what they missed, what they couldn't even comprehend, is that you were never fighting them. You were outlasting them. And now, the empire they built on deception is crumbling while you stand untouched. Imagine this. A storm hits a city built on sand. Every fancy tower, every fake monument, every lie dressed as a legacy, gone. But a small, solid structure made of stone, still standing, still grounded. That's you. While they scrambled to hoard power, you were busy building foundation, real healing, real wholeness, real identity. That's why you're still here. They thought truth needed defense. They thought if they shouted louder, if they wore enough robes, if they bought enough followers, the illusion would hold. But truth doesn't panic. Truth just waits. And now the wait is over. Their foundation was theft. Yours was self-love. Their source was manipulation. Yours was light. Everything stolen eventually returns to its owner. You're the receipt. You're not standing because you fought harder. You're standing because you were never fake. You didn't need theatrics. You didn't need titles. You just needed time. And now that time has arrived. The fog is lifting. The lies are shriveling. And people are starting to see who really held the power all along. Let them collapse. Let the illusion rot. You don't have to say a word. You already won. You're calm. You're grounded. You're untouchable. Because what they tried to break was never weak. It was eternal. And now the entire world gets to see the difference between stolen power and true light. Number 12. Their ending was your evidence. They didn't just lose, they proved you were right the whole time. Chosen one, this wasn't just a death. It was a message, loud, clear, cosmic. The universe didn't take this practitioner out at random. This was balance hitting the table like a gavel. The system they built on manipulation, fear, and stolen energy finally reached its expiration date. And now, their fall becomes the warning bell every dark practitioner hears echoing in their bones. You don't get to attack the light without consequence. Imagine this, a wildfire ripping through a forest built on lies, burning every shortcut, every fake ritual, every twisted form of power to ash. What's left standing after the smoke clears? You. Not because you fought harder, but because you aligned. You stayed rooted in truth when everything else was flexing for attention. You stayed still while they screamed. And now, that silence is speaking louder than anything they ever cast. This death isn't just justice, it's a shift, a pivot point in spiritual spaces where accountability can no longer be avoided. No more hiding behind robes, titles, or mystic branding. No more pretending evil is just misunderstood. The energy is flipping, and everyone who watched you get targeted and saw you not break now knows what real protection looks like. You didn't expose them with your mouth. You exposed them with your survival. You are the proof that light isn't poetry, it's power, it's armor, it's law. While they mocked your healing and tried to siphon your joy, you stood in alignment. That alignment became a shield they couldn't decode, a mirror they couldn't survive. And now, the practitioner's death is a lesson, not just to their followers, but to every other shadow worker watching from the sidelines. Let them watch, let them learn, because you didn't need revenge, you didn't need validation, you became the lesson, a walking reminder that truth doesn't flinch, light doesn't lie, and when the smoke clears, the ones aligned still stand. Number 13. You were the glitch that broke their whole system. You weren't just hard to kill, you were impossible to program. Chosen one, let this settle deep in your bones. You were never supposed to make it this far. Others were silenced, others vanished, others fell under the same darkness they threw at you, but not you. You were the first who didn't break, the first who didn't fold, the first who walked through their full force assault and came out glowing. That alone rewrote the script. That alone caused the collapse. Imagine this, a virus that infects every system it touches until it hits one machine, you, that not only resists it, but fries the whole network in return. You didn't just survive the attack, your survival crashed the whole grid. They aimed their peak darkness at you, and you made it collapse on itself. That's not luck, that's legacy, that's alignment. They studied your fall, but never planned for your rise. You are more than protected, you are positioned, you are the anchor of this entire shift. The dominoes didn't fall on accident. They fell because your energy refused to comply. You became the signal flare, the silent siren that echoed through the shadow world and made everything unstable. Your light didn't just defend itself. It exposed the fraud. It reversed the flow. It rewired the outcome. Their death marks the end of illusion. But your presence, that's the start of reality snapping back into place. As their network implodes, your clarity expands. As their grip weakens, your influence sharpens. Everything they stole begins returning. Everything they cursed begins unraveling. And everything they tried to block now flows to you unfiltered. This isn't just a win, it's a shift in the frequency of the entire field. You are not just part of the change. You are the reason it's happening. Their collapse proves it, and your survival seals it. So stand tall, chosen one. The war didn't just end. You rewrote the ending. Number 14. Their end was just your beginning. They spent their life trying to block your light, and all they did was clear the path for it. Chosen one, the war is over. The last spell has snapped, the last illusion has burned out, and the final manipulator has fallen. The practitioner's death didn't just mark the end of their reign, it signaled the return of everything that was ever stolen from you. Your clarity, your peace, your momentum, it's all coming home, not as a favor, but as restoration. This is the new dawn they swore you'd never see. Imagine this. You've been walking uphill with weights you didn't even know were chained to you, and suddenly they fall off. Your steps feel lighter, your breath feels deeper, your mind stops spinning. That's not fantasy, that's energy returning to its rightful place. That's you stepping into a timeline they tried to hijack but couldn't hold. They drained you to fuel their illusion, and now that illusion is dead, your power has no leash. This isn't about revenge, this is about expansion. From this point forward, things will feel different, effortless, as if the friction you normalized was never supposed to be there, because it wasn't. Their fall removed the spiritual static that once made growth feel like a war. Now it's creation, flow, wholeness. You're not chasing peace anymore. You've become it. They worked tirelessly to block this moment. Ritual after ritual, spell after spell, years of trying to suppress something they could never fully understand. You. But now their efforts are dust. Their empire is ash. And you? You're just getting started. You're untouchable, unshaken, fully in alignment with who you've always been underneath the noise. This is your beginning, not a repeat, not a rebuild, but a completely new chapter that belongs to you. No cords, no watches, no chains. The energy has flipped. The current is in your favor now. The darkness collapsed, the illusion died, and you, chosen one, you rose, undeniable, unmatched, unstoppable, chosen one. If you felt this message in your soul, it's because it was meant for you. You didn't just survive the storm, you are the shift. The darkness fell, and now it's your time to rise without resistance. This is your new era. Claim it fully. And if you haven't already, press that like button to amplify this truth. And if you're not yet part of this powerful community, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because this family is where the real ones gather. Your journey is just beginning. Stay grounded, stay glowing, and stay unstoppable.